Being around the most creative people in the industry is where we wanted to be.
But what we love most of all is taking everything that we've learned over the last 14 years, whether it's fashion or photography or all of our wedding and event experience, and bringing it to you each and every week. Hello and welcome to Notes from the Lightbox. I'm Stephanie Boye. Today I'm joined by Lauren Sozmen from Loli events in New York City and Paris. Thank you, Lauren, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Today we are going to talk about Wedding Trends 2014. All of the things that Lauren gets to see in the big city, because New York City certainly sees trends before the rest of the country does. So Lauren, I'm going to ask you a couple questions about, one, what are some of the biggest trends that you see as far as weddings go? And maybe we'll start with dresses.
Sure. I mean, certainly with dresses, there has become a little bit more of an effortless feel to a lot of dresses. Lace is very big, and it's been around for a while, but I think more so than ever because now it's sort of has a modern take on it a lot of the time. Strapless dresses are starting to fade away, which we like because I think that anything with a little bit of a sleeve or something a little bit, you know, potentially straps or whatnot, I think is always, feels a little bit more timeless,
yeah,
in a way, and always
And
beautiful.
the lace collar, the jeweled collar and the lace kind of thing, I've seen a lot of. It's almost like a little kind of shruggy thing that they do.
Absolutely.
So you have kind of two looks
because it's
going
almost
with one
exactly
dress.
two looks in one. We've done even things a little like little lace shrugs that are kept on for the ceremony and then taken off.
Yeah.
So it's really fun. I think there's a little bit more playfulness with it rather than the standard strapless ball gown, which, you know, we've seen for years and years.
Yeah. And how about veils?
Veils, I mean, I'm a huge fan of veils, and specifically I think, you know, they've certainly come back around, and the longer the better, sort of added that bit of drama and whatnot. What I like to do is to really hold off on the veil for only the ceremony. That way, if the bride and groom do see each other beforehand, then that saves a little bit of a special look that the groom hasn't seen for the actual ceremony.
And that's
fun.
going back on the tradition of that's what it was supposed to be
Exactly.
when they walk down the aisle.
Exactly.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
How about two dresses? Do you see that a lot?
I have, you know, certainly, again, for the ceremony and the reception, or the ceremony and the dinner, and then potentially for the reception or the after party.
Like the dance dress?
Yeah, there's maybe a little bit of a shorter dress. We've had couples also do two first dances, so the first dance is a little more traditional, the second dance is maybe like a tango, something a little bit more.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
That's fun.
so, you know, the dress is appropriate to that, so it's fun. I mean, why not? Two dresses, two pairs of shoes.
We did, I did an interview with Campbell McCauley out in Los Angeles, and he was saying that the two versions of the hair too is really big too, where you can have your hair up sort of for the beginning and then something that you can take it down and it's kind of more fun, casual later on.
Absolutely.
That's cool. How about color schemes?
You know, I mean, I've seen recently a lot less of actual color combinations, rather almost a non-color wedding.
Like
where
a pale paint, like those kind of muted colors.
More muted, sort of the champagne, the vanillas, the very soft blush, corals. Using certainly a lot of that natural element of the greenery and whatnot, and then infiltrating a little bit of metallics also. The rose gold, the golds, the silvers, just hints of it. Again, sort of elevates it and makes it feel more glamorous, but at the same time isn't too in your face.
I love that pale look. I think sometimes people are afraid of that pale look, but I will never forget seeing, well, many times, Nicole Kidman and her super pale skin with that beautiful like blush pink, I think is so beautiful. People think you need a tan to have it, and I actually think it's prettier when you're pale.
I agree.
But this is New York City, and I lived here, so I know pale is good when you live in New York. Okay, another question I have is, what about food and beverage trends?
Absolutely. I mean, you see now couples, especially in New York City, are definitely much more food and beverage savvy. You have lots of foodies. They are very well aware of wanting to know where their food comes from, where it's sourced from. They want to keep it seasonal and as local as possible. You know, they're definitely a little bit more environmentally conscious in that level, especially because it's on such a big scale. I've even seen where, you know, black tie, really high-end weddings won't do a choice of entree. Instead, they'll just do one entree and then we meet dietary restrictions so there's less waste.
Oh, I like that. Okay. So wait, let me ask you a question about that. Does that make it more expensive if you go that route, or is it just another way of
Actually, no choice for your entree is actually less expensive because that way the caterer doesn't have to double the amount of food that they would have prepared.
That's awesome.
And it's really lovely. And again, guests really appreciate it. And you could pick something kind of fun. We did a wedding this summer in the Hamptons, and it was duck. It was the main course, which I know is a little bit different. But again, if there are any dietary restrictions or whatnot, there was fish on hand or vegetarian or whatnot. So
yeah, okay,
yeah.
How about the other trend of we talked about a little earlier was family style food? You had some thoughts on that.
Right, yes. I mean, I think certainly it's fun to try to come up with different concepts of how to serve the food and how to have this fabulous, essentially, dinner party, the best dinner party of your life.
Yeah.
But, you do have to be thoughtful of the entire table, the size of the table, your centerpiece. I mean, if you want to have these big, beautiful centerpieces, but you want to have family style, you really need to sort of rethink it, because where are you going to put these big platters, and is grandma going to be able to pick up this platter and pass it to Uncle Bob, because it's going to be heavy for her and maybe kind of messy. So, maybe it's just sort of that happy
modification of it.
Exactly, where maybe, the first course is plated, the second course is as well plated, but maybe the sides are in much smaller vessels and throughout the table, or something like that. Or even, something like, again, I know it's been around for a little while, but, certainly things like past desserts or whatnot, where it makes it feel like it's, again, a little bit more interactive and people moving around. And
especially if you're having one entree choice, to have lots of sides that people could choose from, that they have the option, is really nice.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, what are the funnest wedding trends that you've seen?
Well, in the past year or so with the Kate Moss wedding and the Sean Parker wedding, and really sort of embracing this boho chic, we're in nature, but everything's like very elevated in a way and really sophisticated. It feels like these centerpieces were just picked from some amazing English garden, but in fact they took hours and hours, and these fairy lights that magically got immersed in an entire forest. So really sort of going back to nature, but again in a very elevated way, similar to something like the word glamping, basically, where basically it's these amazing campgrounds. And we have a couple here in New York State that are by these beautiful lakes, and all the little cabins have been like renovated, and it's amazing. You can again have your whole wedding there for over several days, and the food is again catered really thoughtfully, and and that feels very sort of relative also to today, versus it feeling like really a campground. So
that's awesome. Actually, Tyler and I shot a wedding like that a long time ago, and the only thing missing was the overnight at the place. So I love the idea that you can actually have your guests stay at the campground, because it was like a magical forest with like, a beautiful girl with a garland of flowers in her hair, so pretty.
Who doesn't want
I love that. Lauren, thank you so much for sharing with me the trends for 2014. I hope to be back for 2015 and ask you what's new on the horizon, because like I said, the rest of the world is getting these trends much later than New York City.
Absolutely.
But it's fun.
Yes.
I want to glamp.
We're glamping.
For more information on Loli events, just click the link below, and you can also visit our website at www.notesfromthelightbox.com, and we hope you subscribe. Thank you for watching.